The NBA draft is broken, and here's how the league might go about fixing it. It has been a year since Houston Rockets general manager Daryl Morey on the NBA calendar, and Thursday's feverish confusion over which team was actually on the clock is expected to reignite that discussion and others as the league office discusses changes in the coming weeks. It is not so much the parade of prospects walking across the stage to greet NBA Commissioner Adam Silver in the wrong hat that is most concerning. That is as awkward. The Anthony Davis trade alone left 4 players without an official NBA home on Friday, including lottery picks DeAndre Hunter and Jackson Hayes. Technically, there are small-scale implications, like the fact that the Hawks must wait 2 weeks to even acknowledge their selection of Hunter, much less introduce him to their fanbase. Same goes for Brett. In other words, however inconsequential it may seem in the long run, the integration of several handful of players into their teams is delayed until the league can sort out salary cap figures for the 2019-20 season and process trades that depend on them. Their development. Some minor deals are delayed only for an hour or two on draft night, but every so often teams agree to the framework of trades that cannot be completed until the NBA calendar turns following the free agency moratorium in the first week of July. It just so happened there are other reasons the Houston Rockets raised the idea last year of swapping the draft and free agency, akin to how the NFL operates. If free agency were to come first, organizations would have a better idea of team needs entering the draft, and they may not be so averse to taking on salary in trades that could limit cap space that may go unspent if they cannot get their man. For example, might the Brooklyn Nets have kept their first-round pick instead of moving into the second round, or if they knew for sure whether or not Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant were coming together in free agency? The downside is that everything still gets delayed. Accountants had it. The idea has been floated that the league could work off the previous year's salary cap figure, start free agency soon after the finals and keep the draft on a similar schedule. That might be a more likely idea to be discussed in league circles over the next few weeks is the idea of conducting a trade call between Silver and the involved parties that would set the framework of a deal prior to the draft, while still not making it official until the start of the next calendar year. As of now, this would clear up a lot of the confusion for fans watching on draft night who have no idea whether their favorite team actually drafted the guy wearing the same hat. That is a very real. Along those same lines, there is expected to be further discussions to improve the viewing experience on draft night. As an industry, the idea of turning the first 14 picks into its own night of television, raised on Friday by Bill Simmons, who made the point that this would give teams and their fans a night to process the results and perhaps even allow for further trade considerations has not yet been seriously considered by the NBA. But the league is open. The idea here would then be turning the second round into something closer to the NCAA tournament selection show, where all the results are revealed after its conclusion. By my count, at the end of the day, the draft is a marketing opportunity, and if Thursday's event showed us anything, it's that the NBA is not maximizing the interest in the show. We should know soon. Ace, a staff writer for Yahoo Sports. Have a tip? More from Yahoo Sports.
Raindrop, drop top, smoking, no cooking the hot pot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that. Looking up, open the park pot.